So moving on, so we talked about learner-centered environments. So moving on to knowledge-centered environments. That's another concept that we're talking about in class. So knowledge-centered environments focus on the importance of instructional methods that promote understanding within students. So which methods do you use to assess, the curriculum comprehension of your students, and how do you adjust your strategies if students just aren't understanding the material?
Well, again, it's kindergarten, and I do lots of different things where they're moving. A lot of times I will tell them, it depends on whether it's a yes or no question, or true or false, or if you think, we'll do something together, or I'll call students up to do it. And then I'll say, okay, if you think the answer is, I say, don't do it until I've finished. But if you think the answer is right, you're going to do 2 jumping jacks. If you disagree, then you're going to do 1 push-up and go.
Okay.
And then afterwards, I will tell them, whether the information was correct or not. Sometimes I'll tell them, okay, thumbs up or thumbs down. If you agree with this, thumbs up. If you don't agree, thumbs down. I do that one a lot when we're learning rhyming. And it's interesting to see how the kids are doing on that. Some things, if it's, say, a math problem, I will do whiteboards and have them write their answers and just hold it up. So they're not all yelling out the answer, but they all want to hold theirs up for me to see.
Right.
So I might say, build the number 12. And so they might build, a 10 frame and 2 extra ones, and then write the number 12 underneath it. And we do it with manipulatives every morning. It's part of our morning thing. But then, when you only do one student every day gets to come up and build something and then break it down. So I also do it on the whiteboard so all the students can engage in it too. So sometimes I do that. Whatever the concept is, if students aren't understanding the material, I evaluate, I kind of just by walking around the room when they're working, or by asking questions, or just my observations, I kind of get an idea of who's getting it and who's not. And if I feel like a good majority of the class are not getting the idea, I reteach. And then I try to reteach it in a different manner, and maybe with different examples, or try to do it in a different way. If I find it's only a couple of kids, I call them back and work with them individually on it. I am fortunate that I have an instructional assistant. So a lot of times too, I will have her work with a group on one particular activity. If I do it one day and then the next day I see that the kids are not, they really didn't get it, then I'll have her work with them. So that's kind of what I do with that. Just
I gotcha. No, I really like the, or I love all of what you said, but it's funny because today during class, the professor, she told us that a person's attention span correlates to how old the person is. So she had said that, so for example, if you're teaching a first grade class and the students are 6 or 7 years old, you have a 6 to 7 minute time frame to keep their attention. So, in class today I was thinking, well, I want to teach the younger grade, so how am I going to instruct them for a short period of time before their mind goes elsewhere? And I love the push-ups and the jumping jacks activity because it's built within the lesson plan, and they're still contributing to, answering questions, but they're also, getting the wiggles out, and they're, and
it's always something different. I might have them jump like a frog or glide like a snail. And again, one will be if the answer was correct, and the other will be if it was different. So there's a lot of fun things you can do with kindergarten or the younger ones. Kind of along that line, when I'm reading a story to them, I stop at almost every other page again, or every 3 or so minutes, 3 or 4, to ask some type of a question. And then after I ask the question, I do one of those things too, to get them to move, so that maybe I can finish this book that's 15 minutes and actually keep their attention. So I will ask a student, and then The kids get to decide, oh, is that what you thought? Jump, do this if you thought yes, and if not this. So yeah, they kind of like it.
Yeah, no, I like it. It's so much fun. It sounds so much fun. Okay, so moving on to question number 7. What steps do you suggest teachers take to foster an empathetic environment that demonstrates fairness, respect, and patience?
I'd say it starts, first of all, by making personal connections with every student on day one. And I make a point to really get to know each student. And I try to find out some of their likes, their dislikes, their hobbies, their other interests. And I find that by doing this, it usually leads to trust. Then I always start the year off with a unit on friendship. First school and school rules and friendship, and how to be a good friend to others. And it kind of, this leads into it's followed by a multi-week unit that I do, that I call it's the bucket filling unit, but really it also involves character counts and how to handle feelings. And I kind of use Springboard, the book How to Fill a Bucket, and everybody has an invisible bucket, and you can fill that bucket by doing kind things. If you're doing things that makes them feel bad, another person, then that's a bucket dipper. And the bucket, I have like 3 or 4 different books that are on this that kind of explain bucket filler, bucket dippers, and we talk all about it. And this becomes the kind of the model that we do for the entire year. And I will hear a student tell somebody else, that's being a bucket dipper. Can you be a bucket filler? If they say something not kind to another student, or if they're not very empathetic, or I've even had a kid come to me and say, I was a bucket dipper, Mrs. Holbrooks. I don't feel very good. Then, well, you know what, you learn. So now you know it doesn't feel very good to be a bucket dipper.
Right.
Or when somebody, a student doesn't want to play with someone else, I'll say, well, how do you think that would feel if nobody wanted to play with you? And then we'll talk about being bucket filler, bucket dipper. So, and I, that just kind of sets the tone for the whole year. And my behavior chart that I mentioned earlier, that is, I have little buckets on each color that the 5 different colors that the kid do. And the bottom bucket has a sad face. The next bucket has kind of a, like a straight line face. And, then there's one bucket that kind of has, a little smile. Just, here, I'm ready. And then by the time you get to the top bucket, there's stars all around and the bucket's happy. So that kind of correlates with my behavior management that I teach too. And since I started doing that, the kids really catch on, and I can't imagine doing anything different. And then of course, manners and good choices are encouraged in the classroom. They're taught and they're modeled all throughout the year. We teach about all that during this time. I do, and then I reference this unit all school year, and it's funny, at the end of the year they still talk about it. So they and I've even had students come back and say, Mrs. Holbrooks, I need a hug. And then I give them one, you filled my bucket, and maybe they're in 5th grade and they'll tell me that. So
wait, you said 5th grade?
Yeah.
Wow. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but
no, that's okay.
That's had such an impact. Like, that's amazing, the impact that it's had, that they come back, and they tell you.
It's kind of neat. Early on, I also teach about opinions, and that everyone's opinions don't have to match. And I think that kind of lends itself to fostering an empathetic environment, and basically, I think demonstrates that it doesn't matter if people are different than you, or if you think differently than them, or if you feel a different way. So I teach that early on, and I even have a song that I sing with them. If you promise this isn't going to be put on the internet, I'll even sing it to you.
Whatever you're
It's like,
comfortable with.
all opinions don't have to match. We can all like something different. I like red, but you like blue. That's your opinion.
I love it.
Then I do another part that has, I like cats, but you like dogs. That's your opinion. And so
I love
kids
it.
learn early that that it's okay to differ with somebody. It's okay if they have a different opinion. And I start teaching this at the beginning of the year too. I actually do it. We do an Apple unit in September, and
Right.
that's when I really start going into opinions. And it kind of lends itself later in the school year. We write opinion papers, and so I've taught it this way, but it also helps, I think, with kind of being respectful to other people because other people may have different opinions than you.
Right.
So, yeah, I probably said more than I need to on that subject.
That's okay. No, whatever you want to share. I love it. It's amazing. No, I love, well, I really appreciate everything you have to say, but the bucket, filler, and dipper, that's such a cool idea. I never would have thought of something like that. And the fact that, your students, they check each other, like, oh, that's a bucket dipper. That's, maybe.
Yeah, they do.
That's really, I mean, that is just a hallmark of what a success it is if, they keep doing that and then they keep each other in check like that. I really like that.
Yeah.
That's such a
It's
cool
nice.
idea.
I encourage them to tell other people that they're bucket fillers more than I encourage them to tell me when somebody is dipping. But sometimes that's natural and they work it out. But try to keep it positive.
Oh, well, no, that's awesome. That's awesome. I love it all. I love it all. So much wisdom you have. It's so cool. Okay, so this next one, question 8, it says, what steps do you take to prevent student harassment and intolerance in your classroom?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, I start the year off with a unit on friendship and how to be a good friend to others. And I follow that with the multi-week unit that I do on kind of bucket filling, character counts, and being kind to others. And I constantly look for teachable moments to help students to kind of reframe what they say. If they say something that might hurt another's feelings, I'll tell them another way that they could say it. So, I just look for teachable moments to do that and then have them repeat it after me or repeat it to the other person so that, I teach them to use I teach students to use their words if they don't like something that another student says and does for them. And if a student comes to me about something, I will say, did you use your words to tell them that you don't, to stop? To say, stop, I don't like that. Typically what I get are things happen on the playground, and I'm not out there. It's a instructional aid. But then they'll come to me afterwards and say, so-and-so pushed me, or, different things that happen. And the first thing I always ask them is, well, did you use your words to say, stop, I don't like that? And a lot of times they'll say no. I'll say, well, go do it now. Say, please don't do that. Don't do that again. I don't like it. And then by later in the year, they figure out that they're supposed to always do that before they come to me. And I teach the kids, if they've used their words and the other student does not respect their feelings or their words, then they come and tell a grown-up. It could be me or another teacher out there or an aide, but they have to try to use their words first. And a lot of times they don't, especially kindergarten, they don't know how to use their words. It's amazing. Many parents haven't taught them the skill. In fact, it's seldom that I get maybe one or two kids. I mean, I get a lot of them say stop, or they'll hit, or they'll do something because they don't like something, but few that will say, stop, I don't like that, or please don't touch me, I don't like that. So it's just anytime I can, I use those. I don't know. If